bad year, but it's growing extremely fast. And the CAGR, compound annual growth rate for the next 6 years, is out of control, right? So we're in a sweet spot in this industry, 7% CAGR. If we look at the North American jewelry market, it's a little bit slower at 4%. But there's a huge growing demand for circular economics and principles in design, right? We have lots of sessions about sustainability, and there's new types of commerce, right? Like commerce is expanding to social commerce. If you saw, I work for TikTok and love social commerce for them. With live shopping, it's not your mom's QVC anymore. It's really dynamic and on a phone in about 12 seconds. Virtual try-ons, of course, right? With digital rendering. I'm not going to say AI, that's silly. And then last mile luxury fulfillment, right? Creating that experience, even when buying online, that you get in the store. So businesses are like coming to the house in white gloves with a presentation box and we're delivering the luxury goods, right? So that they get that experience of being in store even if they're not. Brand market is growing in market share due to gold prices and value retention, right? So we'll talk about that a bit. However, the unbranded jewelry sector is growing way faster in the secondary market. It's been a small portion, estate jewelry, antique jewelry, we all know, but it's growing very fast. If we look at the growth of the secondary market, this is like me 10 years into this industry. I think back here it's like $5. Now it's 368 billion. And if we look at the growth of secondhand versus new, luxury is growing faster than new. And if you look at the percentage of hard luxury versus soft luxury, textiles, leathers versus metals, stones, it's taking more and more of more market share, which is raising the average sale price, and it's just doing good things for the market. Secondhand increasingly acts as a market gateway for younger generations, as well as aspirational customers. Back here, 2008, when I started this, like secondhand was thrift, used, musty, dirty, old. Now it's archival, collectible, rare, one of a kind, and it's fun. And we've seen that in selling prices of all sorts of things, from watches, right? Watching the Paul Newman watch go was wild, but then watching watch auctions that have no provenance of a celebrity, and these prices go astronomical as well as last month the original Birkin bag sold for over $10 million for a leather bag. It's great. It's great for the second-hand market, the collectible market. If an item has no secondary value, it has no equity. Why would someone buy it? Maybe this is like a lever.
I thought of it first. It's exactly what I thought of.
Too much to talk about. But you want your item to have demand later. You want your item to outlast your use for it. And it's great to have an ROI when you are done using something to recoup some of those costs. So those are the benefits of the secondhand market, as well as it's not carbon neutral, but it's less offensive. I heard a great stat, like 90% of all the gold we ever mined can still be accounted for, right? Because it's always been a commodity. If we just use the gold that's already there, if we use the diamonds that are already in jewelry boxes and safes, there's enough to go around. Not my wheelhouse though, I just wanted to... let's see. Here we go, counterfeit market. $275 billion of fake jewelry that's sold into the open market annually, globally. That's a lot, you guys. That's 75% of the genuine, legitimate market of $350 billion.
That's so much more than that. It's crazy.
That's 3 out of 4, right? That's how math works. So sooner or later, you're going to come across something. Most times, I would say it is. They're not bad actors, they just don't know what they have, right? And either someone was fooled along the way. 24% of consumers reportedly purchased a counterfeit unknowingly in the past year. If we look at This is seizures from Customs and Border Patrol. I'm not going to say ICE. We look at jewelry as the top in terms of value. $1.6 billion in 2024 was seized. We anticipate about 10% of counterfeits get caught, so you can extrapolate that out. Look all the way down. People think that fake jewelry, fake sunglasses, fake handbags is a victimless crime, and people should be, I guess, much more concerned about fake pharmaceuticals, fake electronics that don't pass any safety tests. But when we test seized handbags and seized jewelry, there are traces of lead, arsenic, and chromium that are well above anything that would ever pass standards in any developed nation. So it can, you can be a victim of your own crime. What's next? Nothing. Here we go. We talked about 24% of consumers unknowingly bought a fake in the last year. When we look at the younger generations, the youths, it's about 37%. And the majority does not have qualms about other people wearing counterfeits. And then you compound that by the fact that by 2030, 85% of the luxury market will be made by this class, this age group, is keep us in jobs. Business of fashion, absolutely a great resource. You'll see other slides here from the fashion law as well. That's it. So what do we need to protect ourselves? Gemology is a science, authentication is an art. We can find that cross-section. 4 pillars of authentication. I've broken this down over years of speaking to 4 pillars that I find work for any product category. So materials, what is it made of, what should it be made of, how is it made, the construction, brand signatures, so this is your trademarks, IP, logos, as well as hardware elements that the brand doesn't make, like bindings that you buy from a different manufacturer, so you have to go down to that path as well. And then hallmarks and trademarks, the things that are supposed to protect, and they do protect in some cases, because the counterfeiters don't always get it right. So we're going to walk through several brands using some IP cases as our guidance. One of the first precedent-setting cases for the sale of counterfeits was in 2007. Tiffany Company sued eBay for the vast amount of counterfeits on their platform. And unfortunately, the courts decided that online platforms have minimal responsibility to prevent counterfeits. They need to say in their policy that they don't, and they need to show that there's some way to report, or that they look at reports. But other than that, their hands are pretty clean. Thankfully, 2 years ago, Congress passed the Shop Safe Act and the Inform Act. If anyone sells online on different platforms, you've probably seen over the past 2 years, they are asking for photocopies of your pictures of your ID, passport or driver's license. They also want EIN or social security numbers. This is so now when presented with a warrant, they can provide that information to the authorities and hopefully stop the bad actor as opposed to hiding behind the anonymity of the internet. So, from 2007 on, Red is really buyer beware on eBay, and we've seen them take great strides in the past few years to correct that, but it was yucky. And so people left eBay and started going to other more curated websites, which is when we start to see the birth of resale sites that authenticate, curate, and really research the goods. A First Dibs, a Vestiaire Collective, a Real, a Circa, etc. So we're on Tiffany. They then, they're pretty litigious. They then sued Costco in 2013. Costco was selling the Tiffany engagement ring. They sold about 3,500 of these before they were made to stop. Customers would ask, like, oh, can I get the blue box for it? And they're like, oh, no, we don't have that. So Costco is saying that it's the Tiffany setting, the 6-prong setting is the Tiffany setting, whereas Tiffany's, they're like, yes, but no. You still can't use our name. So they did settle out of court. the CEO of Costco sent an email to everyone who had bought one saying, it's not Tiffany, you guys. And they don't use that anymore. They call it 6 Brown. One more lawsuit. This is really, really recent. There was a jeweler in New York making these very sophisticated bird on rock. And if you've seen any of the Tiffany campaigns, it's all about bird on rock right now. It's all about Authentication. And, Beyonce wore one, Gaga wore one, everyone wore one, Chalamet. And so they were selling these for $70,000 and they're counterfeit. So Tiffany, they're currently suing this resale site. If you might know where this website is, just buyer beware. So let's look at Tiffany counterfeits. We're not going to talk about fine jewelry because 90% of the counterfeits for Tiffany are sterling, or at least they are supposed to be sterling. Resist silver dip. One of the first things back in the day, I don't know why we used dip, that was stupid. But took a keychain, dipped it in there, it came out looking brass, because it was all the base metal underneath. Well, now I have to buy it. So, taste test, I swear to God, if you put a fake Tiffany in your mouth, on your tongue, it tastes like a pop can, a soda can, aluminum, versus sterling. Do or don't, it's fine. Weight, what is it supposed to weigh? What does it weigh? Should be accurate. And then, made in Mexico, Tiffany manufacturers all over the world.